This is Vero, and today we're going to be discussing if she fears death. So, do you fear death?
Yes.
Okay. So, how does your fear manifest itself in your daily life? For example, what choices do you make or not make as a result of your fear of death?
I think I separate that from death and then the end of life. For me, when I think of death is what comes next.
Okay.
I fear that, and I also fear the end of life, but that's I could separate that because I don't necessarily know where my thoughts, where my brain is gonna go after that, what I'm gonna think after I die, which is you don't have thoughts, so it's that.
Yeah,
that is what scares me in a way. It's I don't know what my where my soul is gonna go because I don't have thoughts, because I don't have a brain.
Okay.
So it's I don't know if I'm just gonna close my eyes and just disappear.
Okay, so what do you do on a daily routine that that kind of rises that fear again? I don't know, for example, you could ride a bus instead of walking to class because of the fear that you might just die, or what happens in
again, I separate that from death and the end of life, because to me that's I don't want to die yet, so it's I'm scared of ending this life early in that way. So it's I keep people I love close to me because of wanting to fulfill my life as much as I want, as much as I can, instead of necessarily thinking of oh, if I do this, I don't know what's gonna happen next. That's a completely different thought in my head.
So that helps you not fear death on a day-to-day basis? Okay, that makes sense. So, I mean, the next question is, how do you combat this fear? So, I mean, I feel like that's pretty,
yeah. I surround myself with people that, make life worth living to the point where I don't necessarily have to consume my thoughts of what comes next, because I'm focused on the present and life.
Okay. And do you fear anything more than death? Terrorism, serial killers, dropping dead all of a sudden?
Oh, 100%.
Okay, and why is that?
Because that's I can feel that. Once I die, I'm dead. I don't know what that's gonna feel like, but apparently you don't feel anything, so it's that's a different thing. This is something that is relevant to my day-to-day life, an experience that I will feel and be hurt by, instead of just something that I have no control over, which is whatever comes after.
Okay, so basically when you're driving, are you scared someone's gonna hit you, or so you live with a daily fear of dying,
the end of my life?
Okay. Yes. What other things, I don't know, maybe walking around campus, does that alter how you feel about death? I don't know, somebody could literally just shoot out the school. You don't ever know.
True. So true, she's got a point.
But
we're sitting right here.
Do you fear that exact moment more than death? For example, another thing that I just said, terrorism. Somebody could literally just bomb us right now.
Yeah.
Do you fear those exact moments, or do you fear the moment of death more?
Those exact moments, but in a way it's not for myself. It's the fact that I won't be able to see the people around me. If I'm here and the school gets shot up, knock on some wood, my parents are gonna feel that. The people around me are gonna feel that.
So you fear the pain that infiltrates to others from the lack of your existence?
Yes.
Okay, makes sense.
And not being able to see these people who mean so much to me.
Okay. And is there a religious, philosophical, social, or scientific idea, perspective, or concept that has influenced your views on death?
Yeah, I mean, for me it's I kind of fight that idea back and forth, because in my religious aspect it's yeah, we're going to heaven,
and what religion are you?
I'm Jewish.
Okay.
So yeah, we're going to heaven, we have that after death, and that's supposed to bring us comfort, but in a way my scientific side of my brain is you don't know that, it's you can't 100% prove that, because these are theories or rules that are being followed by other people. These are just other people who set that rule, that standard.
So to an extent, religion only comforts so much in your life.
Yeah, but
since it can't comfort death.
it doesn't comfort death in that way, like, as it should.
Okay.
Because it's like, I'm told that this is what's gonna happen, and that should be okay with me.
So do you fear the unknown, basically?
Yes.
Okay.
I, like, don't know what's gonna happen next. Like, I don't like the idea of just, like, dying and not having thoughts. Like,
Okay,
not
so
having
you fear
ideas.
the afterlife of death. Like,
Yes.
since you don't know, it's not that you fear death exactly, but it's what happens after you die.
Yeah.
Do you fear the moments that lead into death? Like, what your body would feel like, or what happens as you're dying? Or do you just fear what's after death?
For the pain, like, if it's something that's, like, painful, I don't, like, die in my sleep, then I would fear that because of the pain that's, like, coming from death. But at the same time, when I'm, like, dying, it's more of, like, I'm scared of, like, what comes next because I'm scared of the unknown.
Okay.
Of the afterlife.
Okay, and you're also scared of the presence that leaves this earth, as like, you never talking to your family never talking to you never seeing your loved ones. So overall, every single aspect that leads into death you're scared of, that being before death, during death, and after death. Okay.
But at the same time, like, that drives me in the way that I live my life, because it's
And
like,
how does that drive you?
Because you never know. Like,
so
I
do you
could die
live your
tomorrow.
life to the fullest?
Yeah.
Daily?
I try my best.
Okay.
If I don't have to study.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, I'm montze.t. Today I'm here with Sarah Shoppy. Today we're going to be discussing whether you do or don't fear death. So, do you fear death?
I'm gonna say no.
Okay. So, where does this unusual response stem from? Or, since most people are afraid of death, like, why do you think you don't live in a fear of death?
So, okay, I know that so I know it's not promised, like, what the afterlife is gonna be like from y'all's reactions to my initial answer to this question. Honestly, I think it stems from the fact that I'm not religious, because sometimes I think, like, some, like, really, really strict religions can put that, I think a lot of the fear comes from the fact that while you're alive, you have to do, like, enough good things to earn your spot in heaven. I think that fear might just stem from the fact that people don't think that they've done enough good. So they're scared they're going to go down, they're going to go to hell, basically.
Okay.
But I don't really hold myself to that expectation of, like, if I'm not a good person, I'm going to go here. I'm just, like, I'm going to live life, and then whatever happens after that happens after that.
Okay.
You know?
But, like, when you look into that, is there a certain perspective within, like, our societal, like, regimen that influences your view of death? Like you just said, you're not religious, but like, what makes you lead to the way that, you know, you're okay with the fact of dying any day, that being in 5 seconds, 2 hours, or years from now?
Yeah.
Is there, like, a philosophical, social, scientific perspective or concept that, like, leads you to believe that death is something you're okay with enduring?
I think I'm more of, like, a spiritual person, but lately I've been on the, like, nature side of that. Not even, like, what's the word? Like, come back, like...
Resurrection?
No. Fuck, it's a cycle.
It's okay.
Okay. It's the cycle of, like, birth and death. Like, you become a new person. Anyways. No. It's... Oh, there's a little R.
No.
You can edit this out.
No, it's okay.
Okay, anyways.
Yeah, like, you just come back.
Yeah, but it's not resurrected. It's
reincarnation.
Like, thank you. So it's not necessarily in that sense, but it's more in, like, I feel like we kind of, like, you're birthed, we didn't, like, humans that weren't, like, spawned from the earth, but, like, I think it's, like, a pretty cycle how, like, in terms of evolution, like, we all kind of started, like, as, like, one little thing, and then we all just kind of, like, sprouted into this, like, big, like, the society we have now, just, like, after, like, a long ass time.
Okay.
But I think it's really, I like the idea that we just, like, at the end of our life, like, we get laid back into the ground and we just kind of, like, go back to where we kind of initially came from. Like how, like a shortened version of that is like flowers. Like, they bloom from the ground, you pick them, they're really pretty, they live their life on display wherever they are. And then when they die, like, if a flower's, like, in a vase, when they die, you take them and you put them back in the ground, and they eventually just, like, go back.
Sprout again.
Yeah.
So you believe in, like, not resurrection, but reincarnation?
Well, not that necessarily, but I think just more of, like, you just kind of get released back into wherever you came from. I think our bodies just kind of, I believe in souls and like the mindset, but I feel like
Okay,
our
so
body,
you believe in the soul.
I believe in the
Okay.
soul.
Okay.
But in like the energies, but I think once you die, your body gets returned back to the earth and your soul goes wherever, but I don't know where that is.
Okay, that's reasonable. So
wait, can I say one more
yeah,
thing?
go ahead.
I don't think the soul has a brain. I think
Okay.
the brain is connected to the body, so the fear of that is connected to the body, and that's what gets returned. So the soul doesn't have, in my head, I don't think the soul fears or has thoughts. It's just like energy.
Okay, I can see that. I see that. Like, I see that to a certain extent.
Yeah.
But
I just ate. Damn.
you did.
I've never actually said that out loud, but I kind of ate with that shit.
So now we're gonna keep going.
Okay, per.
How does your lack of fear affect your perspective on life and your actions? Like, you know, since you say you don't fear death, like, does that inflict on like your day-to-day life? Like, do you live? Because a lot of people live to die, so you're not dying to live. So, what that like mentality? How does that affect your day-to-day life?
I think it's because kind of back to like religion and in terms of like you have to be a good person to get to like the good place. I think it's like because I don't hold myself to that standard. If I make a mistake, I'm still hard on myself, but it's not in the same sense of like I'm gonna go to hell. It's like I'm just a bad person, like blah blah blah.
But why are you hard on yourself if regardless you're gonna die and it doesn't matter?
I don't know, cause yeah, that's a good question. I think cause while you're here, because my mindset, I a lot of the times look at it from a very existential point of view of like low key we are just little beings that came from wherever, you know what I mean? And like we're just here on a rock. It's the fucking like we're on a rock floating in space.
Yeah, like nothing's that serious.
Nothing matters. Which like technically, if you want to look at it that way, like you really can believe that. But we do still have like physical emotions and thoughts. Like we do feel and it hurts. Like it's real to us.
Right.
So it's like in that regard, I want to just kind of like fully give into what I feel is real and things like love, like being a good person. So it's like I'm hard on myself because I do have like those kind of standards that I hold up to myself, and if I drop it, if I like kind of fail it, then I'm like, well, we are here for not only a limited amount of time, but an unknown amount of time, and that is what makes it precious too. Because like, if it was infinite, then like there's no value to it. Type beat. Like the reason that things are valuable is because there's less. You could have less. You could have more. You know, like the differentiation and shit.
Okay.
I forgot what I was answering, TBH. But I don't know. I just hold myself to a different standard, I guess.
I can see that. And so we're going to end it with, how does your lack of fear affect your relationship with others?
I don't know. Okay, it's weird. I don't fear death, but I do think about it a lot in the terms of like, I've lived a fairly fortunate life, so it's like, well, this is like more of like a psychological thing. I'm just like, because something good has happened, something bad has to happen. That's what is it called? Like I forgot. I just studied it. Anyways, so I always kind of fear that like because I've lived a fortunate life, it's gonna be repaid by like death. Which, yeah, you know, eventually I'll die.
Yeah.
That's not answering the question though. I don't really know, TBH. I haven't thought
like,
about it.
Like, you know, since you don't really care about death, do you treat others with more care, or do you treat them with less care? Like, because like, do you, like for me, like I fear death, so like I try to spend the most time and gratitude towards people near me, just in case like tomorrow isn't promised and I die. Like that's my fear. Like if I die in the next 2 hours, I know that I had a full conversation with you. Like I gave like my last wits without being promised like anything. So like, do you, since you don't fear death, like does that affect how you treat people?
I think it kind of ties back into the question before this, where it's just like, I think because I don't know what's beyond, I'm like really focusing on like, well, I try to really focus on the present and like what is real. And like the one thing that I always tell myself, because like our perception of reality is always off, but the one thing that you know is true is like love. So it's like love for like your friends, your family, like your like relationships, like that is like the one thing that's like very like you can't really deny that. And so in that sense, it affects it in a positive light, because I'm like, I just really want to focus on like what I know is real, and what I know is real is like my people around me.
Okay, so you surround yourself with people you love in the cases to like affecting your, or
just to make it worth
that goes it. Okay, so surrounding yourself with people you care about is what makes worth not caring about death.
Pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense, but Sarah Shoppy.
Bye.
Hi, I'm montze.t, and today I'm going to discuss on why I do fear death. So, how does fear manifest itself in my daily life? I would say on a day-to-day basis, I tend to overthink on the different aspects I can die, that being from a heart attack or a car accident. Being someone who has anxiety, I feel like it affects a lot within how I react to my days and like overthink certain aspects, like for example, like walking on campus and being hit by a car. Like I think about it, so like sometimes I take the bus to prevent that, but I can't really prevent it, so I feel like it makes me just overthink. And so those are some choices that I make as a result of the fear of dying. That being said, how do I combat this fear? I tend to remind myself that, I am gonna die no matter what I do. That death is inevitable, and at the end of the day, I live to die, not die to live. And so, one of the things within our course media that goes back into why I feel this way is going to be the 4 stories we tell about ourselves about death by Stephen Cave. So I personally tend to believe within the theory that I live with the soul and legacy. So I believe that my soul will be not done for once I die, but there's a certain life or area where I will go. Like my body will be dead. Like I will rot. I will decay, but my mental capacity, I guess, or like what makes me is gonna have another life. And I live with certain like questioning if that is real. So I also live with the theory of legacy, that I'm living to make a name out of myself. That being said, within my career, I want to be a heart surgeon, so I hope to do the best work I can. So in 5 to 10 years after my death, my name is still recognized as someone who was good within their career path, and legacy within my children, be a good mother, a good family member. So in years past my death, I'm still remembered and worthy of being talked about. And another thing that kind of infiltrates within the combat of that fear is the denial of death and the practice of dying by Glenn Hughes. I identify with being Catholic, and that protects myself from the truth of mortality. Within the religion, I believe that, yes, I will die, but I believe that there is a heaven, and that's kind of what protects that anxiety that, yeah, I will die, but there's something to come after. And even though I do fear death, I kind of do create that safe space. And do I fear anything more than death, like terrorism, serial killers, or dropping dead? Yeah, I do. I have like a reoccurring fear that I'll be shot. I feel like that's one of my biggest fears, like dying of like unpredicted dying. Like if I want to die, like my dream way of dying would be dying of sickness, because I would know it's coming. Other than 2 days from now, I'm walking down the street and somebody shoots me. Like I want my death to be quote unquote predicted or known before I do enter that perspective. And like we discussed in lecture, my core beliefs and blind spots, that goes beyond why I do fear that. Like I'm Catholic, but my blind spots would be heaven and what it is, what exactly is heaven. Like to me, heaven is like an afterlife, but being more logistic, I don't know what heaven is. I don't know who's gonna be in heaven, why, like will Hitler be in heaven, and if so, why or why not. And I feel like that's what also produces the fear of death within myself, is the unknowing, not knowing what will or won't happen. And that's kind of why, from lecture from August 23rd, the creation of framing, I believe in God, but why am I scared? If I believe in a religion, you would think that that protects my ideology of death and creates like a safe space to where I would be okay with dying. But it's it's kind of funny because I do believe in God, but I don't believe in what is gonna happen. And that's kind of what leads on within that same lecture where we discuss and why do I believe in something that I can't see. And I feel like the reason that I believe in something I can't see is due to the fact that I have death anxiety, as Becker discussed. I choose to believe in a religion as a foundation of avoiding the topic of death, because I feel like if I focus too much on it, I will end up terrorizing my own life and like causing myself to overthink every single decision. So, that being said, my religious and philosophical, social, and scientific idea that's influenced my view of death goes between religion being Catholic, but my philosophical viewpoint is like, well, if I can't see it, is it really real? My social aspect would be who and why would be in heaven, and my scientific idea would be it's not proven that there is an afterlife. For all we know, scientifically, is the human brain stops working, our body stops working, and that's it. Your body decays, but there's no scientific explanation to where your soul or mind goes. And I think that's what scares me. I'm scared of before death, like going before death, during death, like the actions of feeling pain and the time lapse of going from alive to dead, and where my mind ends up going after death. So overall, the entire reality and format of death is what I'm scared of. And when looking into my interviews between Sarah and Vero, they contrast each other within Sarah believing in more of a spiritual than religious aspect, whereas Veronica is more Jewish and kind of infiltrates within the same reasoning I have. Even though we're not the same religious, we kind of stand on the same viewpoints, as in we fear because we don't know it. And Sarah lives a little bit less of a fearful life because the outcomes of what could happen don't really affect her life, as in compared to me and Veronica. We overthink into our decisions, how we treat people, and what we do, and Sarah tends to live a life of just love and appreciation until what's yet to come. And so I think when viewing those viewpoints, it's really critical to understand why death affects people and how we live. And I would say that death affects my way of life, as in trying to be the best person I can be. And my religious aspect would be to let go and let God. And that being said, I try my best as I can as a human, but I do recognize that tomorrow is not promised, and I am scared that tomorrow is not promised. So, thank you.